And in my mind, following on what you're saying in terms of growth and the next step for Matador, in my mind, it's like, in rightly or wrong, I said, it's a case of Matador just drilling and getting ounces and building. But in all aspect, you got 120 kilometers strike. Exploration to me is the key component here because there's lots more to discover. Mm-hmm. Do you see that as the fruit, if I use the right analogy, of Matador for investors, right? When investors look at Matador, do they see, look, there's actually more to come than this, because your market cap's 52 million. I can see a lot more growth in there, as we know, like no crystal ball conversation here. But how do you see the growth in Matador? What's the prize?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, again, we're positioned well to deliver on that prize. We've got 837,000 ounces of gold in resource. So I'm coming in with an existing resource, which underpins the market cap. The work that's over the last couple of years has been drilling and exploring around that existing resource. So I'll call it brownfields exploration, if you will. So looking to grow that existing resource around Central, Window Glass Hill, and the deposits that make up the current resource. And so looking at the opportunity in the early stages and going through the process with the board, having been appointed CEO, learning more about the project and the opportunity and the potential, more recently looking at some data with respect to the drilling, but also some of the work they've done from a greenfields perspective, I see the opportunity being more greenfields potential. The gold that's there in resource and the drilling that they've done over the last year will increase the resource incrementally. And we can continue spending and investing capital to grow that resource incrementally. Or we can look at the potential of the belt that we're sitting on, look at, utilize the data that we have, whether it's the magnetic survey that was done, some geochem sampling that was done. We just published some numbers last week on malachite. I see that being the potential. And so what I've recommended to Ian and to the board is really, let's go out. Let's go look for the elephants along this 120 kilometer continuous strike on the multi-million ounce structure. Let's focus on that. We're not going to abandon a brownfield strategy. We'll continue to look for targets, and we've got plenty of targets closer to where the existing resource is. But I think the real potential here is greenfields. I think it is going to malachite, identifying specific targets to drill, and again, looking for the big multi-million ounce deposits that we believe exist in this system, in addition to what Marathon Gold has. And then we've got another project further afield called Hermitage, which has some pretty exciting data for historical data that came through some work that was done by some previous majors like Inco and Teck and Falconbridge. So we were successful in staking that ground, and I'm keen, especially when I was going through the board recruitment process, I mentioned this, keen to actually go there and see what we have, because it's on the Hermitage flexure, which is the same structure as Newfound Gold, except it has a different orientation. And then what's interesting is that when you look at our 120 kilometer strike package of the Cape Ray shear, one thing geos have told me is that structural bends are good. That's where we should be looking for gold. So I've already encouraged Warren to be looking at these structural bends. Malachite is one of them. But there's another significant one further to the northeast on our tenement package. And what's interesting with this structural bend is that there's a convergence of the Cape Ray shear and the Hermitage flexure. And again, we're sitting on the tenement package at that junction. So again, I'm not a geologist, but as an engineer, the geos have told me bends are good, multiple structures are good. And here is another target where we've got the convergence of the two largest gold structures on the island at a major structural bend. So this is what I'm meaning when I say we've got to look from a more greenfields potential. And you'd mentioned Gold Road, and I've mentioned it to Ian a few times. I mean, Gold Road had they were at a similar junction where they were exploring around the brownfields. They had a brownfields exploration strategy focused on brownfields drilling around an existing resource. And Ian and the team, they continued on that path, but then they took a pause to see what is the potential of the belt that they were sitting on. And so they went through a similar process that we've recently gone through in terms of target generation, utilizing the data that you do have. and they decided to identify priority targets. And the first one, lucky for them, that they went to was Gruyere. And so, again, this feels a lot like Gold Road, and I dare to say this is Gold Road 2.0.